The United Kingdom saw a record exodus of its wealthiest residents in 2024. We're talking 10,800 millionaires.
A staggering number.
And that's not just a financial headline. You have to realize this represents a serious brain drain of entrepreneurs, of capital.
And future innovation. It really is the highest outflow recorded in modern history. And you see the human face of this in cases like Ermin Narula.
Right, the CEO of Improbable, a multi-billion-pound tech company. He was all over the news preparing to move everything to Dubai.
And he made it very clear.
Yeah, he wasn't just complaining about the current tax rate. He specifically called the speculation around future UK policy things like a capital gains exit tax.
He called it bonkers.
Bonkers and anti-entrepreneurial. So it was the instability that pushed him. We have a lot more data and some pretty startling insights on this to share as we go.
Exactly, and that's what we want to explore in this deep dive. Why are so many high achievers leaving Britain? And where are they going? It's not just the usual suspects.
And that's what we do here on the IMN podcast. We take these huge, complex subjects and, we try to make them easy to understand through these relatively short, deep dives.
And we always focus on the insights that often get missed.
Because understanding these global shifts is, well, it's critical if you're a professional or a business leader today.
The world has become a marketplace of competing countries, all offering different risks and rewards.
Which is why this deep dive is brought to you by IMN. They understand this challenge of navigating such a complex world.
They do.
IMN provides incredibly helpful, personalized information about virtually any subject by searching millions of data points, and it delivers it to you simply and easily. So we encourage you to visit myimn.com.
That's myimn.com.
So today we're unpacking the push factors in Britain tax and instability, and the pull factors of places like Dubai, Switzerland, and even some emerging hubs.
Right. We should start with the push factors in the UK, because that's where the story begins.
Okay, let's get into it. The UK. The overall tax burden is set to reach a historic high, something like 38.3% of GDP by 2031.
That headline figure is bad enough, but the mechanism behind it is what's really causing the pain. It's something called fiscal drag.
Fiscal drag. Can you break that down for us? What does that actually mean for the average person?
Well, the government confirmed a multi-year freeze on income tax thresholds all the way through 2030-31.
So the goalposts don't move.
The goalposts don't move. So even a small pay rise to keep up with inflation can push more of your income into a higher tax bracket.
So it's a stealth tax. You feel like you got a raise, but the government just takes a bigger slice without ever formally raising the tax rate.
That's it exactly. It erodes your wealth quietly year after year.
And it's not just income. They're explicitly targeting assets now, aren't they?
Yes, there's a huge shift happening. They're narrowing the gap between how work is taxed versus how wealth from assets is taxed. And that's a massive signal to anyone who is asset rich.
So what does that look like in practice?
We'll take property. They're introducing separate, much higher tax rates for property income, starting in April 2027.
How much higher are we talking?
It's a huge jump. The basic rate for property income will be 22%. The higher rate will hit 42%, and the additional rate will top out at a really severe 47%.
47%. That completely changes the maths on holding investment property in the UK.
It absolutely does. And then on top of that, there's the new high-value council tax surcharge, the HVCTS.
Right, for properties over £2 million.
Exactly. Starting in 2028, it's an extra charge of thousands of pounds a year just for holding the asset.
So you've got fiscal drag on your income, new taxes on your property income, a surcharge for just owning a valuable home, and then there are the non-dom reforms.
But again, it goes back to what Narula said. It's the speculation about what's next. That rumor of a capital gains exit tax?
Yeah.
When people lose confidence in future policy, they act now. They move their families, their assets, their businesses.
They vote with their feet.
They vote with their feet.
So if Britain is pushing, where is everyone being pulled? Let's talk about the big destinations.
Dubai and the UAE are still a massive magnet. I mean, it's incredibly popular, especially for wealthy British and British Indian entrepreneurs.
The zero income tax environment is just, it's hard to compete with.
It's a huge gravitational pull. But you see this competition for capital everywhere. It's not just the obvious tax havens.
Right.
Look at the U.S. They have the Platinum Card program. It offers a path to residency. But a key benefit is you can spend up to 270 days a year there without paying U.S. taxes on your non-U.S. income.
That is a very specific, targeted incentive.
It is, and that's what the UK is up against. And then you have Switzerland.
The classic choice, stability.
Unmatched political and legal stability. and they just sent a massive signal to the world about that.
You're talking about the vote.
Yeah, in November 2025, Swiss voters just decisively rejected a proposal for a 50% inheritance and gift tax on wealth over 50 million francs.
So they basically doubled down on their pro-wealth identity.
They sent a loud, clear message. Our low-tax environment is reliable for generations. And at the end of the day, that's what people are looking for. They want to avoid high income tax and protect multi-generational wealth in a predictable environment.
Okay, this is where it gets really interesting for me because it's not always about the lowest tax. We're now seeing a really significant trend of Brits and non-resident Indians moving to India.
It is a fascinating and multifaceted trend, and we have to get past the idea that it's just about a cheaper lifestyle.
That's more than that.
Much more. A huge factor is the cultural and social pull, the draw of extended family, of community networks. People report living a less stressful, more connected life.
And there are practical elements, especially for retirees. The example of domestic help always comes up.
It's a key factor. In the West, having quality help with cooking, cleaning, just household management is an extreme luxury. In India, it's widely accessible. As you get older and physical capacities change, that makes a world of difference to your quality of life.
And healthcare. That's a big concern for retirees.
India's private healthcare sector has made huge strides. You can get quality, on-demand services, which is exactly what people want when they retire. They don't want to wait.
But it's not just about comfort and retirement. It's also a bet on the future, isn't it?
It's a massive bet on the future. The economic logic is powerful. People are returning because they see India's digital transformation, the rising middle class, the infrastructure improvements.
They want to be part of what they see as the next global superpower.
They want a stake in that future. Now, you can compare that optimism with a place like China.
Right. High risk, high reward.
Exactly. China is the world's second largest economy, the UK's third largest trading partner. The opportunity in its consumer market is almost unimaginable. We're talking 850 million high-income consumers by 2050.
But the friction of actually doing business there can be intense.
It can be crippling. The legal and regulatory environment is just fundamentally different. You have issues with things like land acquisition, and then there's the infamous CHOP system.
The official seals, the stamps.
Yes, these physical stamps act as legally binding signatures. If you lose your company's CHOP or it's misused, it can lead to complete legal paralysis.
And the really big one that keeps investors up at night. A commercial contract you sign under UK law is generally not enforceable in a Chinese court.
That adds a layer of uncertainty that is just massive.
So when you think about it, the sheer complexity of all this, shifting UK tax laws, US investor visas, Indian rules for non-residents, these huge business risks in China, it's just overwhelming.
It's a full-time job just to keep track.
And that is exactly where a service like IMN becomes so valuable. Their core strength is taking this entire global maze of data and providing clear, synthesized, personalized information.
Right.
It's drawn from millions of data points on these complex subjects, like comparing the business risks between India and China or modeling how the new UK property taxes will hit your specific portfolio.
It saves an immense amount of time.
It saves time and it mitigates risk. If you want to cut through all that noise, you should check them out. Go to myimn.com. That's myimn.com. That's myimn.com.
Now, we do have to introduce the counter-narrative here, because not everyone buys this millionaire exodus story.
This is really important context. Groups like the Tax Justice Network argue that this whole narrative is just scaremongering.
Statistical obfuscation is the term they use. They claim it's a narrative pushed by firms that represent the super rich to, influence policy in their favor.
And how do they back that up?
Their argument is about definitions. The term millionaire in these reports often just refers to people with $1 million in liquid investable assets.
So it excludes all the wealth tied up in property or businesses?
Exactly. It's a narrow definition, which makes the number of people leaving seem much larger as a percentage. They argue that for the vast majority of millionaires, who are largely immobile, taxes are not the main factor.
Okay, so regardless of whether the numbers are being exaggerated, the UK government has clearly recognized there's a talent retention problem.
Yes, and they've developed this kind of dual, almost contradictory approach to migration.
On one hand, they're trying really hard to attract the top-tier, high-skill talent.
Correct. They're promoting their modern industrial strategy, targeting AI, life sciences, advanced manufacturing.
Yeah.
And they've reformed visas like the Global Talent and Innovator Founder routes to make it easier for the best to come here.
But And this is a huge but. At the exact same time, they're making it much, much harder for almost everyone else to stay long term.
That's the big policy shift. They're moving to what they call an earned settlement model. For most migrants, the time you need to live here to get indefinite leave to remain, or ILR, is being doubled.
From 5 years to 10 years.
From 5 to 10. And for some, like those on health and care visas, it's being pushed to 15 or even 20 years.
A 10-year path to settlement.
Yeah.
What does that feel like for someone trying to build a life here?
It creates enormous uncertainty. Imagine spending 5 years building a career, your kids are in school, and then you're told you have another 5 years to wait for real security.
It's a huge deterrent for anyone who has other options.
A powerful one. It sends a message that long-term settlement is a hard-earned privilege, not an assumption.
So, bringing this all together, what does this mean for you, the professional or investor listening to this? We've seen these rational decisions being made by high achievers to find growth and stability somewhere else.
Whether that's a tax hub like Dubai or a high-growth market like India.
So the key question, and this is the thought we want to leave you with, is this. Is the short-term revenue gained from these new wealth taxes worth the projected long-term economic cost?
The cost of losing the entrepreneurs, the investment, the very people who drive growth.
When you look at the projections, some estimates suggest the non-dom reforms alone could shrink the economy by $1.3 billion a year and get rid of over 23,000 jobs by 2030.
It really raises serious doubts about the long-term plan. It's a very delicate balance between social fairness and fiscal prosperity.
It absolutely is. Thank you for joining us for this deep dive into the forces that are really reshaping Britain's wealth landscape.
And the global competition for talent.
And thank you for tuning into the IMN podcast. We really do strive to make these complex subjects easy to understand, relatively short, and to give you insights that are often missed.
If you found this useful, please subscribe, follow, and share us across YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and X.
And remember, for that personalized information drawn from millions of data points on subjects relevant to you, visit myimn.com.
That's myimn.com.
And that link is also available on our profile or channel description on all our platforms. We'll see you next time for the next IMN podcast.